He'd lived in his apartment for 6 months, although it seemed like an eternity, but Latron Cliffs had still not met or even seen his next-door neighbor. He knew someone lived there because he'd heard the occasional thump, water running, and muffled snippets of conversations through the shared wall. Being a private person himself, it didn't really bother Latron, but it was odd that he didn't know what he, she, or they looked like. The situation abruptly changed one night when he was jolted awake by the screams of a terrified woman. After several more shrieks followed by loud sobbing, Latron forced his body out of bed and went to the living room wall, pressing his ear against the cool wood paneling. A woman was definitely crying. And then he heard a hard slap and more screaming. Despising conflict, Latron looked frantically around his own apartment, as if what to do might be written on a wall. But someone needed help, and he was the only one around. He called 911, but the woman sounded desperate. A tattered bathrobe draped over his spindly frame, Latron tapped several times on the door. No one answered, so reluctantly he smacked the wood 2 more times, and as if hitting a switch, the screaming stopped. "Hello?" His bones quivered. Anyone home?" Suddenly, the door flew in, and the last thing Latron saw was the barrel of a gun pointed at him. The police arrived a short time later, and they too knocked a number of times on the door, but were met by silence. Several minutes later, the building manager, a red-faced man in a stained t-shirt, barely covering his beach ball belly, joined the officers in front of the apartment door. "What's going on here?" he asked. "A gentleman who lives in that apartment, 118, called and claimed he heard a woman screaming in the apartment next door. No one's answering either door, though." "That's because both apartments have been empty for months,"